Let's evaluate 2 to the exponent 10. We have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 many times, a total of 10 times. It's good to memorize that 2 to the 5 is 32 and that 2 to the 10 is 1024. If you keep on doubling numbers, you'll realize that by memorizing these, you can very quickly evaluate other questions such as what's 2 to the 9? What's half of 1024? The answer would be 512. What is 2 to the 12? It's a huge number, but if you memorize that 2 to the 10 is 1024, you just have to double it twice. So 2 to the 11 would be 2048, and 2 to the 12 would be 4096. What is 0 to the 1? The answer is 0. 0 to the anything is 0. So if we say 0 cubed, we have 0 times 0 times 0, which is 0. 0 squared would be 0 times 0, which is 0. And so we believe that 0 to the 1 is 0. Now be very careful, there's an exception. These numbers 0 and 1 cause confusion. What is 0 to the 0? We say this is undefined. Try it on your calculator. Now what about 1 to the 0? The answer is 1. Anything to the 0, assuming it's not 0 to the 0, is 1. What's 2 to the 0? It's 1. What's 5 to the 0? The answer is a 1. So let's look for a pattern here. If you say what is 1 cubed, the question is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. What's 1 squared? There's a total of 2 number 1s being multiplied. So 1 to the 1 is 1. And 1 to the 0 is still 1 because we're still dividing by 1. Now look at the pattern for the 2's. We have 2 cubed, in which there's 3 2's being multiplied. 2 squared has 2. 2 to the 1 has simply 1 2. 2 to the 0 is 1 because we're just knocking off a 2. We're dividing by 2 each time. So the pattern continues on from positive exponents even to negative exponents, in which we have 1/2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8, etc. So this exponent 0, just memorize that anything to the 0 is generally 1, except for 0 to the 0. Now finally, let's look at this question here. What's negative 1 to the exponent 1, 2, 3, 4? So what we have here is a negative number being multiplied by itself many times. Negative times a negative times a negative. But what we notice here is that the exponent here is even. So if you have an even number of negative 1s, each part here is going to have a partner. 2 negatives become a positive. 2 negatives become a positive. 2 negatives become a positive. And this pattern continues onwards. So essentially, we're going to have 1 times 1 times 1. And because this is even, the answer is going to be positive. Positive times a positive is always positive. So the answer is positive. 1 times 1 times 1 over 1,000 times is simply still 1. So the answer is 1. And now it's your turn. What's 3 to the exponent 4? Number 2, what is 1 to the 0 plus 0 to the 1? And number 3, what is negative 1 all to the exponent 123?